Welcome, everyone, once again to She Did It web series. It is with great pleasure again that I have an amazing female entrepreneur to present to you. So She Did It is really about showcasing these amazing women that I've had the pleasure of meeting so that you can discover them as well and fall in love with them as I have. And this week we have Stacey, very, very excited. So we met online, really, and we've been connected for quite a few years. And so recently we got a chance to connect and talk and share. And I just love her. She's amazing. What she does is great. And I'm looking forward to allowing her to share with you who she is and some of her wisdom and her journey. So Stacey, welcome. So tell us about yourself.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Very fun to connect with you. And it's funny because I was just listening to a podcast yesterday and they were saying, you don't realize how many people are out there watching your content and just like they're never liking or commenting, but like we saw each other, but we hadn't interacted a lot until recently. So it's really cool to see how the relationships develop.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm a business coach and I help entrepreneurs find the hidden profits in their business and optimize everything they're doing, from their mindset to their marketing to their sales process, so that they get the most out of their business. And really my passion is to help entrepreneurs scale their businesses without sacrificing their family life and their personal life. It's really important to me.
Wow, that's amazing. And how long have you been doing this, and what brought you into this passion that you have for helping entrepreneurs?
Well, it's funny because I've been doing business coaching now for 17 years. So a long time. I feel like a dinosaur. Because I see all of these new like Instagram coaches, out there.
Right.
The way this got started is I had been in a sales career before, and in my sales career, I was doing a lot of consultative selling. And what I discovered is in my last sales job I had helped a person increase their sales 200%.
Wow.
In a year, and less than a year. And what I thought of is I really enjoyed that part of it, helping the entrepreneurs grow their business more than the sales part of it.
Right.
And, it's not to say that you don't have to sell when you're in your own business, but I absolutely loved helping business owners look at what they have and help them optimize and improve every step of their marketing, every step of their sales process. So that's how it came about.
Wow. And so when you made that decision to kind of shift from being an employee to an entrepreneur, how was that like? What was the deciding factor for you? And did you have some sort of a transition, or did you just jump?
Well, I had always been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I had started selling stuff in 3rd grade. I shifted to selling B2B when I was in 5th grade. So I always had that passion for making my own way in the world. And even when I was in sales, I was in straight commission. So it wasn't like I ever had a salary or comfort zone to rely on there. But, I was doing really good in sales. But what really was something that really struck me is my dad died when he was 56. So when my dad died, and it was very sudden. It wasn't sudden like a heart attack, but it was sudden like he was diagnosed with cancer in September. By Thanksgiving, he was gone.
Wow.
And by American Thanksgiving. And so that really lit a fire under me of, my dad had never done his bucket list. He'd never, like when I lived in Europe, my dad never came to visit. We got to see him sometimes on vacation, but it was like he was always working. And so for me, that's my passion of giving entrepreneurs back to their family became very strong at that point. And I started looking at, what do I want to do with my life? I, spent a lot of time spiritually, praying, journaling, talking to people, to really look at what I wanted to do. And I decided that coaching was it because I could help people the most. I was really good at it. And then the line in the sand came when I moved from Philadelphia to Canada to get married. And I lived in a very small French village. literally, I would say 99.9% of the people speak French here.
Wow.
And it literally was a village. It's recently a town.
Okay.
We've grown a little bit since I moved here 17 years ago. But it's, I was like, I'm not going to come up here and get a job. I was already doing the coaching. I was already doing workshops and speaking and all that. But that was just like, okay, I had to pull the plug and go full out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was, I came here to Canada and I said, all right, now's the time to make this work. I got married, got pregnant. And, the thing is that I really needed to build a business and build a business quickly because that was, my source of income right then. And I was doing networking. I was doing, when I had the baby, I was getting up at 3:00 in the morning, nursing the baby, driving to the networking. My husband and I were like switching the baby car seat at Tim Hortons after my networking meeting while he was going one way, I was going the other. Coaching my clients while my baby napped. Wow. So I had to make it work. And so, that's when I started also working online and doing a lot of stuff because I just couldn't keep up that pace of the in-person meetings all the time.
Wow, that's really good. So really that's where also your passion came to help entrepreneurs and really have their family not suffer from them doing their passion and really getting themselves out there, because when you're an entrepreneur you do have to get yourself out there, but you don't want your family to be suffering at the same time. So online is really the way to go from what I hear.
Yeah, and it's hard because I think there's a hustle culture right now that's really permeated our entrepreneurship space that I'm really anti-hustle. So I'm more of a hustle and flow kind of person. Like I'm almost shy because I take 8 to 10 weeks of vacation, per year. When my kids get off the school bus, I'm here. My daughters have been competing nationally in gymnastics. I'm able to go to her different things all over the country and in other countries to see her compete and see her go to these training camps. So I've really built this lifestyle design into my business so that, when my kids, leave the house, I'm not going to have any regrets for the way that I spent my time with them.
That's amazing. I think that's everyone's dream who has kids and who's an entrepreneur, to be able to sustain themselves and that their family can actually be able to thrive, right? And so sometimes we have the idea that we need that 9 to 5 for that to happen, that steady income. So maybe tell us how. I mean, I'm thinking, would you say that it's your background in sales that kind of has allowed you to be able to sustain the business as you have and grow it and make it successful and be able to make it your bread and butter? Or would it be another ingredient?
I think sales is important because sales drives the revenue in the business. But I think also, I worked with Tony Robbins for several years. I was vice president of consulting for his business mastery program. And one of the things that stuck with me from the very first business mastery, people see the ads for it all the time now on social media, but the very first one he did was right at the beginning of the last recession. And people were scared. Entrepreneurs' whole businesses were crumbling overnight. And there was a guy there that got up and wanted to, get coached by Tony. And, this was a very intimate event from a Tony Robbins standpoint, like 200 people and, or 500 people probably. But the thing is the guy got up there and said, I've tried this, I've tried that, and nothing worked. And Tony said, well, how many things did you try? And the guy said, well, I tried this. And Tony said, well, how many times did you try it? And the guy said, oh, well, I tried it a few times, but it didn't work. And so Tony said, well, what happened? Why did you stop? And he said, well, I didn't have enough time, or I didn't have enough this. And Tony said, what I'm seeing is that it's not that you can't get it to work. It's just that you didn't do enough things enough times until you got it to work. And he said, have you ever seen somebody come to this country, in this case, it was in the United States, that had less than you did, that is now more successful than you, right? You see people that come from all over the world with $200 in the pocket. They don't speak English as well. They haven't been to Harvard. They don't have a network. They haven't, they don't even know, how to go to the grocery store when they get here, right? And so the thing is that he said the difference between somebody that's not successful and somebody that is successful is resourcefulness.
Yes.
And I think that's where it's like, okay, I live in a French village. I have my kid at home. How can I be more resourceful? How can I, get to where I want to go with the resources I have? And that, I think, is the key ingredient.
That's really, really good. And it's true. So many of us think that, we need this missing ingredient, right? So we're thinking we don't have this, so we can't do this. And I love that example that you gave. And it's true. Everyone has something that they can use with, just start with what you have, basically. That's what I'm hearing. And I think being connected with other people that are doing it, helps a lot. So that's kind of my vision, which she did it, is to inspire and motivate, by hearing your story, by hearing other women's stories that, they weren't always where they are today. That, you have to start somewhere, right?
Right.
So I love the way that, your starting point was really wanting to provide for your family and doing what it is that you scaled at. And that's really what it is at the end of the day. That's what I'm hearing too.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say, part of me is been holding myself back of like, oh, don't say that you take so much vacation and go to the lake all the time. And don't say that you're, like we're building a house at the lake right now, a second home. But it's like, it makes me shy to say that sometimes, but like I have a sister who's starting out entrepreneurially, who's a teacher. And she said, you know what, you're actually inspiring me.
Yes.
Which it's like, there's this whole thing of helping each other and, really lifting each other up and inspiring. So that's one of the things that I've been working at, is to like share more of this with people, to have it be inspiring and say, listen, I'm not saying this to say like, oh, wow, look at me, I'm so great. I want to help people have that for themselves. And that's all my coaching is really helping other women, business owners, create the life that they want and the prosperity that they want.
That's amazing. And of course, all of this, I'm sure you've gone through some trial and error, right? I mean, I'm sure that it wasn't, all rosy, even though, it's been 17 years and you've had some ups and downs, I'm pretty sure, in those 17 years of business. So maybe you could share with us, maybe one thing that you consider, a struggle that you had, or a challenge, or, a failure even, and how did you learn from it, and how did you bounce back from it?
Yeah, so there's two things. I think the first thing is that I tended at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey to get really distracted by bright, shiny objects. And I still see other entrepreneurs doing that today. Like I have people that are in my mastermind group and they're like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, no, that's why you're in the mastermind. Focus on the revenue generating activities. Focus on the things that are going to move you towards your goals, not going and learning all of these different things. And because I love to learn, that was almost like it wasn't a failure, but it was a challenge of mine to stop just learning and start implementing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And to give you an example of one of my failures, I was in Russell Brunson, who you might have heard of, the owner of ClickFunnels. He's built himself $100 million software company. And I was in his coaching program and his mastermind. And I did the webinar just like he said. And I did not get the amount of sales that I wanted. Like I saw friends of mine that were also in the mastermind that had built $1 million businesses like that. And, it was really frustrating because it was like, I wasn't getting the same result that I wanted, despite, Russell even looked at my webinar. He's like, your webinar is awesome. Your product is awesome. So the thing about that was, I see my daughter who's been a national level gymnast and my little daughter who's a gymnast, and you go on the balance beam and they throw themselves in the air backwards and forwards and sideways and they fall off, right?
Yes.
And so that's always been like my thing. If my daughter, and I have some pictures on social media of these crazy tricks my daughter does, like Olympic level tricks,
Yeah.
And it's like, if she has the courage to throw herself backwards and do these flips and then fall and then get back on that beam,
That's
like
it.
10 seconds later, she doesn't wait till tomorrow. She doesn't wait till her back stops hurting. She doesn't wait. She gets right back on. And so that's where, like, that first webinar didn't go so well. Guess what? I got back on the balance beam and did it again and again and again.
That's it. Consistency is really huge in, really ensuring that you get the results that you want. And I think that is one thing that I'm definitely working on. And using videos a little bit it's a struggle for me because I'm not very at ease with it, but I'm just starting out to get at ease and just trying to do it as often as possible. So I love the fact that, you were able to learn from your daughters, and implement that into your business. That's amazing. And that's what it is. You have to be consistent and you have to get back at it. Every time you fall, you have to get back at it. And I love that. I love that example. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Welcome. You're welcome.
So what about success? So we all have a definition, of what success is, and we all have our ways of measuring, what success means to us. So maybe you can share with us what does it mean to you? What does success look like for you, and what do you use to measure it?
Sure. So I have a calendar right in front of me on my wall, like a huge calendar. And on my calendar, I block out the times that my kids are out of school. So I know, like, for example, October 26th, they don't have school, right? So I know October 26th, we're going to be able to take a long weekend that weekend and go to the cottage, right? I know that they have 2.5 weeks off at Christmas time. I know I'm blocking off that time to spend with them. So for me, I want to have the financial means to be able to do that. And to do that, when I say give entrepreneurs back to their family, what I mean is that if you're always striving and you're always so focused on the money, I'm not saying to not make 6 figures, 7 figures. I've been doing that for years. But the thing is that you want to be able to do that in a way that when you stop working, you're able to be present with your family, to enjoy them, and not just be thinking, oh, what else can I do? What else can I do? How else can I, keep going? So for me, that's success, is to have a successful multi-6-figure business at this point, and to be able to be with my kids, enjoy time with them, enjoy time with my husband, and be present with them.
Yes, that's awesome. And that kind of freedom is really a beautiful expression of success, because our children, and as you said before, you don't want to regret. You want to regret these times that you could have been there, but you were busy trying to build your business instead of giving them the time, because time goes on and they get older, and they will remember the fact that you were not present. And so that's one of the reasons as well my husband and I decided to become entrepreneurs, and be able to be present, with our children. And I think that's, maybe, I don't know, maybe this is stereotypical, but a lot of women, have that dream as well, and so maybe you can give some advice, to some of these female entrepreneurs that maybe just starting out, or maybe they have what we call a side hustle, and, they're still working their job, but at the same time, they would really love to be able to do that transition and, have that flexibility, have that freedom, have the income as well to be able to live that dream. So what kind of advice would you give to them?
Sure. So one of the things I would tell you is to take action, right? Nike says just do it, because you can just sit on your sofa and look at the people doing sports, or you can actually go and do sports, right? And it doesn't matter what your level of sports is, right? You don't have to be out there winning a marathon. You can just be out there taking a walk, right? It's getting out there and doing it. And so what I would tell you is to take action, but not just any kind of action. You need to be focused on revenue generating activity.
Yes.
So what are you doing today that's going to help you generate revenue? That means making sales calls. That means talking to people. That means, connecting with people and having a conversation with them, whether it's over LinkedIn or Facebook. But it's not just about going and liking people's posts and, saying, oh, good job or whatever. You actually have to develop a relationship. You have to ask for a sale.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times entrepreneurs, they get stuck in what one of my old coaches called the BS funnel.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like, working on your brochures, working on your website. You're always working on something. And if you're always working on something, you're never going to get to the point that you're going to make a sale. So you have to just like not wait for it to be perfect and just go and do it.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think that speaks to a lot of us because sometimes when we see successful entrepreneurs out there and how they present their material or their services and products, everything looks so perfect, right? So you don't want to be coming out there and not being up to par. And I think that that's one of the things that often blocks people from doing it and taking action, like you said, because they may not have everything that they wish they would have to make it, the maybe not perfect, but at least up to par, right?
And you know what's funny is like, I don't feel like I have Instagram worthy hair today. I don't have an Instagram worthy backdrop today in my office, but I'm waiting to find the perfect painting that has meaning for me instead of just slapping something up there. Because I could have gone and bought a painting any day, but I want to have something that has meaning to it. But the thing is that the people that are these Instagram worthy people, a lot of that is fake. A lot of it is fake. It's people just trying to pose for pretty pictures. And, really, I have a client who has gone from when I started working with him, like 6 figures, and now he's going to hit 8 figures this year.
Wow.
Right? And he was competing against competitors that have $100 million brands, $1 billion brands. And we were like the scrappy newcomers, the upstart. But the thing is he didn't say, oh, I don't have as nice of a website. Oh, I don't have as nice of an office. No, he just got out there and he found out who his perfect clients were. We found out what the message was that appealed to those people. Mm-hmm. And then we started talking in the way that resonated with the perfect clients and started making sales. And now he's going to hit $10 million this year.
That's amazing. Wow. So having that speech that will actually attract your ideal client is really key from what I'm hearing, right? So it's one thing to take action and do the blog post or do the video and, do that Instagram picture, but then you have to present it in a way that your ideal client will be hooked, right?
Yeah, and you have to have a call to action. I'm not saying on every post or every video or everything, but you have to have calls to action. You have to have a way that you're monetizing things. It can't just all be about content. It has to be content. Like, Gary Vee has the jab, right hook, that you're giving lots of value, but then you're also asking for the sale and moving people down your funnel.
That's right. Wow, that's amazing. I think you've given us so much, lots of nuggets, and I could listen to you all day. I would. Thank you so much for your wisdom. So maybe you have final thoughts for us that you want to share that we should know. What should we know at this point about your journey and about who you are and what makes you a successful entrepreneur?
Well, like I said, about really being resourceful. And from that talk with Tony Robbins, when I was at that conference, I was working at the conference. I was a coach and VP of consulting for Tony. But that whole conversation he had with the client about resourcefulness has really influenced my whole development of my program, Hidden Profits. And what we do is we look at entrepreneurs' businesses and see where they're leaving money on the table. Because, like I said, people are always looking for that bright, shiny object. They're distracted. They're right there in front of them. Like the average business owner that attends one of my events finds $85,000 in hidden profits.
Wow.
So it's a lot of money that most people have right there in front of them. That they're not focusing on. So, and if you want to find out where your hidden profits are, you can go to StaceyHylen.com, and I have a limited amount. I work with people only by application. So if they want to do a free hidden profits call where we look and see where your hidden profits are, if you fit the application process, then I'll jump on the phone with you and do that. So it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So what I'm hearing is it's important to invest in yourself, invest in educating yourself so that you're able to make sure that you're moving forward. So um, I'm sure you invested somehow to end up being a coach for Tony Robbins. How did that happen? What did you have to invest in order to get there?
Well, it's funny because I do believe that you need to invest in learning, but I think learning without implementation is just throwing your time and your money down the
Yeah,
toilet. And like I said, I made that mistake many, many years. So I'm like the first one to like hit myself for that. Uh, give myself a talking to. So what I would say is don't try to go after all of these different things. Choose the thing and go after that. So working with Tony Robbins came about from a friend of mine who introduced me to somebody that she knew that needed some people to help him with coaching. And so I jumped on that relationship, and then that relationship turned into working with both Chet Holmes and Tony Robbins. So I was in what I always say is like those scary things, because it was really scary and intimidating
Mm.
to do. I just jumped in and said, okay, I'm going to do it. And I know I can do this. They say women were less likely to refer ourselves for a job or a position or an opportunity that we have the same qualifications as men. A lot of times men with less qualifications apply for these projects and these opportunities that women don't. And
Mm.
so, you just have to throw yourself in there and just throw yourself in there and do it.
Love it. Thank you so much, Stacey, for all the wisdom and letting us know where to find you as well, because I know that people want to know a lot more about you and, have your help to get to that six-figure income for sure to provide for their families. So thank you again. And we'll see every one of you at She Did It. Remember, it's October 19th to the 20th. And so we're going to have a screening of the movie Dream Girl. And this is where we'll be showcasing a lot of different female entrepreneurs that have done it, just like Stacey. And then the next day we'll have a trade show with several local female entrepreneurs that will be showcasing their products and services. So register, and we'll see you at the next episode of She Did It web series.
It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited. Great event. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure, Stacey, and thank you for offering everything that you have. And we'll see you, hopefully. I know you might not be there on the 20th, but we'll definitely have you again.
Thanks.
All right, take care.